Our last formal speaker, Doreen, you've waited a long time for this. You better have that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have introduced you, but it's the Chief of Strategic Planning for the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to round off the discussion and to lead you into the next part of the session, which will hear the wonderful case study from Indigo and from Microsoft. So I would like to talk very briefly about the gap, about closing the gap. And what I'd like to talk about is the technology gap. And I'd like to talk about that by looking at three different aspects. What's the gap that we're trying to close? Why is it important to close this gap? And how can we close the gap? So let's look at some numbers. I think everybody knows that today mobile is basically ubiquitous. We have more mobile subscriptions than we have people. But everybody in the world doesn't have a mobile phone. The good news is, though, that everybody has access or is within reach. What's dramatically different, however, is when it comes to the internet. At the end of this year, internet subscriptions will reach 40% globally. Okay, so that's improvement. But if we look in more detail, we see that 2/3 of the world's people in developing countries still don't have access and won't have access by the end of this year unless we do something differently. And if we look even more closely, if we look at the world's least developed countries, there's 49 least developed countries, 90% of them do not have access to the internet. So why is it important to close the gap? In the 21st century, broadband has become an essential infrastructure. So it's like roads, it's like electricity, and it's like railways. And it's our duty, it's all of our duty to make sure that all the world's people have access to broadband, to technology, so that they can get the benefits that technology brings. We know that for every 10% increase in broadband penetration, it increases a country's GDP by 1.8%. But we're not talking about technology for technology. I mean, who cares if you have a mobile phone or a computer? What we're talking about is technology for education, technology for healthcare, technology for gender empowerment, and technology to change the world. Technology is the most incredible lever ever imaginable in terms of creating economic efficiency and spurring sustainable social and economic development. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. It's an incredible opportunity that we can improve healthcare, educations, and community. In a world where over 60 million kids that should be in primary school and are not in primary school, we need to do something. And the way that we can provide universal education to these kids is through technology. So how do we close the gap? The Broadband Commission for Digital Development was set up in 2010, and Professor Yunus is one of our commissioners, as is Microsoft, and someone mentioned before, Intel. We brought together a bunch of CEOs, government officials, a head of state, President Kagame. You all know about the great work President Kagame has been doing in Rwanda. And we brought Mr. Carlos Slim, who was at the time the world's richest man, but he's still very much up there and very committed to technology. So we brought together this group, to show the world that it's not technology about technology, it's about technology for meeting the MDGs. With technology, we believe you can meet the MDGs. And this commission, 3 years on, has been very successful on the policy side. We have seen countries put in place national broadband plans and policies, and we've actually shown, we've done economic studies, that if you actually have a plan or a policy, you're more likely to have higher fixed broadband penetrations and higher mobile broadband penetrations. But now we need to move from policy to action, and that's where all of you come in. We need investment. Just let me finish on the investment. And we need 1 minute, and I promise you. We don't just need investment, we need smart, targeted impact investments. We need investment that is focused on delivering social and economic development. We are living in an era of amazing progress, and we stand as a global community ready to reap the incredible benefits of new technologies. New technologies such as mobile broadband, which is the fastest growing technology in human history. With the power of impact investing, I'm certain that we will together find ways of closing the gap and bringing the full benefits of social and economic development to all the world's people. Thank you very much.